Our next speaker needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. It's our club president, Orion AI6JB, and he's going to be giving a talk on setting up a digital station. Orion.
Thanks, Mike. So the first thing I want to say is setting up a digital station is very easy, and it's not going to cost a whole lot. I got involved in this 2 years ago at Field Day when we were originally planning on operating 5 stations, and we didn't have the 4th station set up. And so Ty, who has a new baby tonight, had one of these signal links there, and he had it configured for my type of radio, and we spent a few hours, put it together, and we actually operated and made 35 contacts for Field Day in 2016. So but tonight, what I want to do is just quickly introduce what digital is. I'm assuming there's a few new folks in here that may not have any idea what digital is all about. Show you what kind of equipment you're going to need to make this work, how to hook it all up, some of the things you want to watch out for when you're actually putting it together. Talk a little bit about the software that's involved, and as we go through this, I'll kind of give you a hint on how much this is going to cost you. And it's not as much as you think. And if we have time, you can actually hear it. We have PSK 831 going right now. Maybe we can actually get an exchange going, but I originally figured this about a 40-minute presentation. We're already 10 to 15 minutes into it, so we'll get going real quick here. Feel free to stop me anytime if you have a quick question. If I may not be rude because I may be rude because we're a little short on time and tell you I'll get to that later. But if you didn't hear the answer, as we get to the end, there's a question and answer period. So what's digital? Well, digital is quite simply any radio mode where you convert your signal and it's digitized some way, shape, or form. Now, some of you may say, hey, wait a second, CW is digital. So we're going to modify that definition just a little bit and say, hey, anything that uses a computer, we'll call that digital. CW is kind of a digital mode as well, but it doesn't require a computer. So your computer, what does it do? Well, it modulates and demodulates the signal so that it can get transmitted over the radio waves, and it transmits it and converts it into sound. And we'll talk a little bit more how that happens. But basically, what you're doing is you're taking a computer, creating an audio sound, it gets transmitted over the RF, somebody else picks it up, decodes it, and sends it back. So why digital? I call it the gateway drug. You don't need to know CW in order to get the benefits of a digital type mode. So it's the cheap way of getting there. Digital has the benefit of weak signal propagation. What that means is you can hear signals below your noise level and decode them and actually transmit a message. If you're in single sideband, you're kind of screwed unless you got really good ears. CW, I'm not a CW expert, but I would imagine you can probably hear people right close to the noise level. But with digital, you can go below the noise level. Anybody got any ideas on how many dB we can go below noise and pick up a signal? Any ideas?
30. 20.
20? Keep going.
30.
Usually
Keep going.
45 dB.
60.
What's that?
Usually 45 dB roughly.
I'm not an expert. There might be a mode out there that goes 45, but I'm thinking 36 with JT65. So you can go 36 dB below the noise level and hear a JT65 signal. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money to get involved in this. Many of you probably already have all the equipment you need in order to get involved with digital. And by the way, it is a heck of a lot of fun. You can get all kinds of neat places. You know, I had gotten Asiatic Russia, and it was just a call sign to me, and all of a sudden I realized, hey, wait a minute, I'm talking to Russia. So, but one of the things about digital is you've got a boatload of acronyms up there. You've got FT8, PSK31, you've got SSTV, all these acronyms. And one of the things that's nice about digital is a lot of these modes are created for a specific atmospheric type condition. So for example, JT65 was originally developed for Earth-Moon, Earth transmissions. They eventually figured out, hey, it works really good on RF, and so it's been used for other things. You've got SSTV, that's slow scan TV. You can actually get pictures transmitted with digital. The big popular ones, they are Right now, as near as I can tell, the big popular ones are going to be FT8. That's only because it's the newfangled whiz-bang thing that's out there. PSK31, there's actually contests, as well as RIDI. RIDI is a very popular one. It's the old radio teletype protocol. We're going to focus on do I get a cursor? No. We're going to focus on the PSK31. That's the easiest to get to, and it's the easiest to work with. As you start getting into RIDI, they start using more CW type codes, so you start having to learn a little bit more of an abbreviation. But PSK31 is really easy to get into. So, what do you need in order to get set up on digital? Well, you need hardware, just like you do in CW and single sideband, but you also need software. And let's take a look at the hardware first. So you need a radio. How many of you have a radio? All right, so check. First one, take care of. You're going to need a sound card of some sort. Most of you probably have a computer with a sound card in it. How many of you have a radio already that has a sound card built into the radio? So, yeah, there you go. You guys are already all set up to do digital. Let's take a look at the radio. So my rig's an 857D. It's right here. So my experience is limited to this guy right here. So if you got an ICOM, don't ask me anything because I have no idea. But basically what the radio, all it does is take the audio signal that's generated by your sound card and transmits it, and then turns around and transmits it back. Or when it gets received, it brings it back to the computer. Ideally, you're going to want to have some sort of digital mode on your radio, so that it's set up for digital, but there's no reason why you can't have it work upper sideband and transmit a digital signal in upper sideband. As a matter of fact, PSK31 is upper sideband as a convention.
So is FT8.
FT8 is also upper sideband. You can even run RIDI in upper sideband, lower band, so you have to be a little careful. That one's not quite conventionalized as well. Cat control is nice to have. That's computer-aided transceiver. That's this little guy right here. This changes the frequencies for you, pushes the push-to-talk in this particular case. You don't really need it for push-to-talk, but cat control is really nice. And then you need, ideally, a sound card inside your radio. Mine doesn't have it. That's why I have this guy, which is, we'll get to that there in a second. There are a few things you have to consider when you're running digital on your radio. Settings. So in my case, and for other people's radios, there may be difference, but for me, I always have to make sure the AGC is off, the automatic gain control. The noise blanking is off. Any digital signal processing that you've got going on, that's off as well. And then any audio processing needs to be all turned off. And the reason for that is any of those features tend to distort the digital signal. And if I'm saying something that's wrong, because I can see Dennis over there, I know he's an expert at this, so if I'm saying anything wrong, clarify it. Oh, he's got thumbs up, good. But anyway, those things are key, otherwise things don't quite go as planned. But other than that, it's pretty simple to set up your radio and get it ready for your digital mode. Computer, you need a computer. Laptop, desktop, most anything will work. I use my laptop because it can go portable with it. When it comes to processor, faster is better. I have run PSK31 on an iCore 3. It works, but when you try to go to the internet, have your web browser going at the same time, or you try to have your logging software going and playing music, it doesn't work so good anymore. So obviously faster better. I have an i7 here, iCore 7. And I can have all that stuff running at the same time. And what does a computer do? Well, it basically just runs your software. That's its main function. It doesn't have much else to do. Most of you probably have a logging software, so it works really well to have it all on your computer as well. The next thing you need, and this is kind of the key to make it all work, is the sound card interface. And what the sound card interface does is it takes your digital signal from your computer that's generated by the software in your computer. It turns it into an analog signal, which is going to be sound, which gets put into your radio, and that's what gets transmitted. And then the same way it comes back. You get sound from your radio, it comes into your sound card, it gets digitized, and then goes into your computer, and then your software decodes it. Let's see, did I miss anything there? Like I said, you probably have already that in your computer, so I'm saying stuff twice now. Now, there are several out there. I use the SignalLink USB. I like that one because it's got the sound card built on it, and it's almost plug and play. And you know, when you play around with the PSK31, you talk to people, you almost always hear I either have a SignalLink USB or I have a rig blaster. Those seem to be the two most common out there. I've seen a few people use the MFJ 1275 sound card interface. It almost looks exactly like this, but there's a whole plethora of them out there and a whole bunch of different kinds. The SignalLink is about 130 bucks. Rig blaster is about 120, and then the MFJ is 110. I've even seen plans out there that you can build your own. Use an old computer sound card and put an interface together and build your own. God knows how much that's going to cost, but you know, time is sometimes not the problem. All right, how do we put this all together? It's actually quite simple. You run a cable from your computer to your SignalLink, which is this guy right here, and it goes into my computer via a USB port. Then you come from your USB or your SignalLink, runs another cable, which is this guy, and it goes into the back on your data port of your radio. If you have a radio that already has a sound card in it, all you're going to have is a USB link that goes into your radio, and you're all set right there. You won't actually have this box because it's inside your radio. There are other setups where you can actually have use your sound card in your computer and run a cable to your radio and run it that way. I've read about it, I don't know how to do it, but that is an option as well. And then the last item that is really helpful, but it's an optional item, is having your CAT cable so they can control your rig while you're working. It's really nice because I'll show you later, but you can actually, right from the software, you can set the frequency that you want to work on, and it will change that on your radio for you. So when you are setting yourself up for your hardware, in this particular case, when you're using the SignalLink, like I said, it's almost plug and play. It's not quite. But what you do have to do is you have to go in and you have to set your operating system sound parameters. And that's where it gets a little confusing, and sometimes things get a little bent out of shape. Let me see if I can show you real quick. You know what? I'm not going to do that. Just know that depending on which sound cards you got, you're going to have to set up your operating system. And that involves going into the sound card features and setting up the playback defaults, read your instructions, but that's the only thing that really makes this a little more confusing. Sometimes you don't have them set up right. That's the place I've had the most trouble with, is trying to get those just exactly right. Because what you want to make sure happens is that the sound that is the signal that's being generated from your computer is the right amplitude so that the sound card can read it. If you overdrive the sound on your sound card, you start creating intermod distortion, and you actually distort your signal on the digital side as it comes out on the radio. And you can always tell the guys, yes sir?
Is there a way to measure that? Do they give you tools for measuring that level?
Yeah, they'll tell you exactly, for playback, make sure it's at 50%, when you go in and when you're doing...
So you have a meter?
Yeah, when you go into your controls on your Windows operating system, that's my experience is Windows. Yes, sir?
I was going to say, if you're using that SignalLink USB, you want to have your sound card full on the computer. Because you're controlling the sound input and output with the controls on the front of that signal.
Oh, okay. I have mine set up at 50%.
That's just set all the way on.
Okay.
It may not even work sometimes.
Yes, sir.
If you say the noise level, you can be 30, 60 decibels below noise level, right?
Right.
How do you find the signals if you can't even hear them?
Oh, we can't hear them, but the computer can hear
You
them.
see them on
You'll see them, and I'll set up FL Digi here in a second, and I'll show you what it looks like. Hopefully, there's still somebody out there. They were there a few minutes ago. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think it's done by integration. You're integrating the signal. When you integrate it enough, you'll actually start decoding what's in there.
Yeah, Jerry, you don't see the signal, the computer sees it. You don't have any knowledge of what's going on really. The computer does all the processing, you just sit there and let it do it.
But there's something that you can see or some indication.
Only if
where
there's
it
a strong
is.
signal. You may see something, but it may not be the guy you're talking to.
So like right now, you can hear some in the background, but there's not much going on. When they're really strong, you can really hear it. You can really hear it on your speaker. Yes, sir.
So are there preset frequencies that you go to then?
Yes, I'll get to that here in a minute. And every mode's a little bit different. So software. Let's talk about the software. So why do we need it? Well, the software is what takes the digital data that comes from your sound card and actually demodulates it or decodes it. It'd be the same thing like if you're working CW, you listen to the CW, you turn it into letters. That's what the software does. Same way the other way. You want to send out some information. The software then converts that, makes that digital signal so that the sound comes out looking that way. And that's the main purpose for the software. The good news is there's a lot of free software out there. The most popular, the one that I use, is the FL Digi. It's created by a guy that has a call sign named W1HKJ. I think his name is Don. Don't correct me. Anyway, he's the one, him and a group of people also created this newfangled mode called FT8. But he's, no, I'm sorry, FT8 is W6SJ, it's a different one, sorry. But he's got a really neat piece of software. It decodes almost, I imagine a lot of the modes that are out there. He even has a decoder for CW. I've played around with that a little bit, haven't been too successful. Another one is Digital Engine and PSK Express. They're both created by the same guy. One is a little more complicated, the other one is really kind of stripped down. All these softwares are for free. And they even have Yahoo group sites so that if you had any questions about how to make it work or configure them, you can go to these group sites. Another software that's free as well is the WSJT. That's the JT65. It's also the FT8 mode that's out there right now. These folks created that brand new mode, FT8, and it's brand new as of July. It was a beta, came out in July, and I think just recently they issued, yes sir?
Just one thing, I don't know if you mentioned or not, but the JT modes he has listed up there, JT9, JT65, FT8, those things are highly sensitive to the clock on your computer being synchronized with the international time, whatever. So just make sure your clock on your computer is spot on, because they rely on that.
That's a good point. I wasn't going to go into that, but yes, all those modes, you must have a synchronized clock, and the Windows version of a clock is not acceptable enough. You actually have to go, they tell you to go someplace, download another clock, and you sync to the actual national standard, the US standard for clocks. They have to be within a second or two, if I recall correctly, in order for them to work correctly. Just a little bit on the JT9, JT65, you send for 1 minute, and you receive for 1 minute, and a standard exchange is 3 exchanges. So that's 3 sends, 3 receives. That means it takes 6 minutes to send a message, make an official QSO.
And a good cup of coffee.
And a good cup of coffee. I haven't done much with those modes recently, but I used to sit in front of the TV and just plug and play with it. FT8, they've got it down now to 15 seconds for each exchange. So in 45 seconds, you can have a QSO with, Tonga or, South Africa or wherever you want to go. So then if you want to spend some money, you got Ham Radio Deluxe. That's a logging software as well as a digital software. It's got everything stuck in it. But that's another option as well. So it's really quite simple. Go to those free sites, download your software, and install it on your computer. And then, as I mentioned before, the key is to go ahead and set your audio device and then set up your rate control if you have that as well. I could go and show you how it's set up on mine, but everybody's got a little bit different computer and different radio. So I threw that out because I figured I had too much in here. Okay, let's go ahead and do a brief tour on FLDG. I think Dennis has done this once before, but once you got your software all loaded up, so once you get your software all loaded up, this is FLDG, one of the more popular softwares. And just to give you an idea of what it can do as far as the modes, these are a list of all the modes that it will do. So you have a plethora. Now, that's a big list, but now let's go ahead and look at PSK, and I can not only do PSK 31, which is 31 characters per second or minute, I can't remember anymore. per second. Yeah, or I think it's
Bits per second?
It's bits.
it's bits per second. Okay. You can go to 63, 125, 1,000. I mean, there's a whole lot of different modes within this one software that you can play with. There's ready. You can do 45, 50, 75. It's phenomenal. So the software does all of it. Some key things about how the software operates. So somebody asked me about what the 7070 is. That's the frequency that, yes sir.
Does it auto detect, like if you're tuning, if somebody's sending out a CQ or something, does it auto detect what they're sending, or how do you know?
That is where the skill comes in. There you go. You gotta have some skill. So you have to recognize, yeah, there's a website that he has, and he shows you what the different traces look like. So this is not a typical PSK. Either it's too weak or pretty weak or something. Typically, what you'll see a PSK 30 looks more like that one over there. But they all have different kinds of, RIDI has 2 streaks because it's shift key. They have Olivera, and it has a bunch of little dots. And they all look a little bit different, and that's kind of the challenges you have to, if you want to try a different mode, you have to be able to recognize what it sounds like and what it looks like on the waterfall. So, speaking of waterfall, this is the waterfall. It starts at the top, and as the signals come in, they drop down. This box over here, the yellow one, that's your decode box. So if I click on a signal, and let's see here. Find one. That one looks pretty strong. Let's see if it'll decode that. Nope, not strong enough. They're a little weak, so they're not picking them up. That's where it'll be decoded. If you want to send something, you type it into this box. This is called the browser, and when they're strong enough and you can adjust the sensitivity, they will actually show you what people are sending. So if you see a CQ, you can set it up, or it's actually set up so that it'll turn red if it sees a CQ. So what you do then there is you just simply double click on that frequency. It moves the red cursor over to that frequency, and then you can decode what's going on. It remembers what came through on that particular channel, and so you won't lose anything. You'll actually be able to see that. What's really nice about FLDigi is they have all these buttons up here. See, I don't think that's an actual PSK. I think that's something else. Does anybody recognize that one?
JT65.
What's that?
It sounds like JT65 or FTA. It might be FTA.
I think that's FTA.
It sounds like it's real sharp. Probably
Well, that's the problem, yeah. That explains it. I was on the wrong frequency.
Wow.
Something went haywire there. Now we got nothing. Okay, the other thing that's really cool about FLDigi is we have all these little buttons up here, and you can program them. So if you want to send a CQ, you just push the button, and away it goes. So right now it's sending a signal to the signal link, but what I did is I turned the transmit volume all the way down, so we're not actually putting any power there. It's just sending it to nothing. But that's simply, we made a CQ right there. And if you want to answer somebody, there's, sometimes, let's just put in here, so you can load the call sign in there. And if I want to answer somebody, the program automatically puts Dennis's call sign in there, puts mine in there, tells me who I am, and then they can see that real quick and easy. Let's see, anything else on there? Did I miss anything, Dennis? Is that the basic gist? FLDigi also has logging capabilities. So if you want to run contests, there's a logging feature inside this as well. You can create different macro palettes. So like I like running the Thursday night Riddick Sprint. They use different kinds of exchanges. So I can save this palette and bring up another one. So it'll have a different kind of CQ for that particular contest or that particular activity. You can do the same for any mode that you might be operating as well.
Question?
Yes, sir.
We're going to mention the squelch because anybody that is going to try this for the first time, if they don't play with that squelch over there, they're probably not going to see anything. Early frustration.
Yes, yes. So thank you. Where's my cursor? So this over here is your squelch bar. And right now you can see that I'm picking up really nothing. But there's a little bar right here. The higher I make this, it's just like your squelch on your FM radio. The higher you make the squelch, you won't hear anything. So you gotta have signals. See how the little thing's jumping right there in the corner? You're gonna have a signal stronger than your bar in order for the software to actually decode it. So then you say, well, why do I even bother putting it up there? Why don't I just drop it all the way to the bottom? Well, when you do that, now you can pick up everything and you get all the garbage that goes along with it as well. So there is a little playing around with this. It's on the, you click over here and then you click right there and you can use your mouse wheel to scroll up and down on your squelch.
How do you learn about the exchange protocol?
I learned it by just watching. Yeah, find a signal, click on it, and watch what people do. So PSK is very, it's really simple typing. People type. My frustration with PSK is sometimes those macros, people will create what's called a brag. And you respond to them, and the next thing you know, you get 10 minutes of them bragging about their station and how long they've been a ham and all kinds of stuff. And I prefer to use it as a rag chew type thing. So in those cases, I say, thank you for your QSO, goodbye. And then others, I'll click on and start typing, and then they'll usually respond, and then we'll do a typing exchange. So I've had 20, 30-minute exchanges with people by just simply typing. And like I said, when you are running PSK, you can literally turn on the transmitter, and you can just start typing. Oops, make sure that's off. Yeah. You can start typing. And if you make a mistake, you see where it's catching up with you, you make a mistake and back up, and then retype it again. So, I like this mode. It's a lot of fun to play with. Oops, that's the wrong button. And when you get frazzled, you start pushing the wrong buttons, and then makes all kinds of weird stuff happen. I've even done things where accidentally. The other nice thing is you can click right here, and you can actually set the frequency that you're going to be transmitting on.
Dan has a question.
Dan, go ahead.
Now you got HRD in there, right?
No. That's a you have to pay for that.
PSK.
What's that?
PSK 31. That's the program you get.
Well, PSK 31 is a digital mode. Ham Radio Deluxe does have a modulator demodulator for PSK 31.
HRD here.
What's that?
You're not using HRD.
No, I'm using FLDG. Yeah. So you can set frequency you're transmitting on by clicking anywhere on here. And sometimes if you accidentally click on it and then hit, CQ, and you forgot to move off of somebody else's frequency, all of a sudden, you make a mess. So that's one thing you have to be careful. It's a lot of point and shoot.
I noticed we haven't heard anything since you fixed it.
Since I fixed it? Yeah, it is. Well, earlier I was trying to make this thing work, and I did it again. That's why.
Guys, you have it on CAT?
So what happened is I had it on USB upper sideband. This radio will not read from the data port unless you got it in the digital mode. So I did something to switch it off of digital onto upper sideband. Yeah, I'm surprised that I don't hear anything anymore. So I don't know.
Or do you do cap mode with your laptop, or is it all manual?
No, I do CAT. I do CAT. I normally use it through the FJP logging software, and I use that CAT connection. It's more stable than the FLDigi CAT connection for some reason. I don't know why. So the reason we flipped might have been something with FLDigi.
When you click on the waterfall for frequency, does that change the rig?
It should not, no. But let me do that and just see what happens. Did it change it? It shouldn't change it, no.
Ryan, make sure you're in PSK 31, because you were in those menus in the mode menu. You may have.
Yeah, I'm still in 31. So you can see the mode you're working right here.
Is it 31?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I can't see it.
All right, I think that was the list of items. We're running out of time, so I was going to go to FT8. We talked about the modes, waterfall, windows, frequencies. You guys asked about frequencies. So the frequencies are usually mode dependent. In the case of PSK 31, for example, 80 meters is 33.58 megahertz. 40 meters is 7.070, which is where we're at right now. 20 meters is 14.070. 15 meters is 21.070. Kind of nice the way they standardize those all on the same frequency.
Anything on VHF or UHF?
Yes, that's,
I haven't played there, so.
yes, there are frequencies that are in the weak signal area, and then there are also frequencies where you can work these over FM, and all you've got is FM and you want to play around. You don't get the efficiency of the digital over FM, but you can get everything checked out, or, you know, let a tech get their feet wet playing with this on FM mode. But yeah, there are frequencies also in VHF.
So VHF would be assigned.
Normally, yes. It would be in the weak signal mode area. There's a digital subband in there.
So I use WingLink in the VHF. That's what I use WingLink in the VHF area. But I haven't played around with any of these others. RIDI, for example, is kind of a band of frequencies. Like if you were working 40 meters, they usually start around 7.70, 80 through about 100 in that area. Same thing on 20 meters. That would be like 1480 to 14100. They work on a band of frequencies. But PSK, is my experience, is pretty much there's always going to be on these frequencies or very, very close to them.
Yeah, FD8's pretty well full right now in its areas. When you go there, you just see it solid all the time. And then the other thing with RIDI is if they're feeling persnickety, they'll come in and stomp all over another mode.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, and on the...
One other comment.
Yes, sir.
So, the thing to realize in the JT mode or the FD8 mode is that you want your radio set up with the broadest receive and the broadest transmit, because they are modulating signals in the various audio frequencies in that audio band. So it'll make sense when you're using it, but they could be transmitting at 400, and if your filters are set up at 600, it's not gonna work for you. So make sure that your transmit and receive filters are wide open.
Right, that's a good point. I forgot to mention that. Actually, when I run the RIDI contest, I actually turn on the digital filters and choke it way down. Otherwise, I pick up all these other guys who club around. So yeah, filters got to be turned off as well. I don't have any filters on this radio, so I don't have to worry about it, other than the digital. Yes, sir.
A few years ago, there was a kit that came out to the 80-meter band, and it was based upon the color crystal. If you notice that frequency is right in the color as you see for TV. And there's one little simple board, and you wound your own toroids, it's about 7 watts transmit, and you just plug that directly into the audio ports of the computer, and you had an 80-meter radio.
Very cool.
Close, it wasn't, you couldn't work the world with it because it wasn't very sensitive, but you could get on and do 80 meters. I'll see that. I got one at home someplace, so I'll pull out and look at it. Picture of the info.
And it's amazing what you can do with 5 watts with digital, especially in the 15 modes. 15 watts, 10 watts, gets you pretty much anywhere. Again, FT8, GT9, they're program frequencies. They're right in the software, so you don't have to worry about figuring out where they are. And as Burton mentioned, they take the bandpass for upper sideband, and so you're going to have your filters wide open. You know, the key thing to remember is that, you know, no matter what, make sure you're operating within your privileges, and you know, when you want to watch for any of the band plans, that you're not, you know, splattering over the wrong pieces, the wrong areas. So we're out of time. Any other questions, or maybe I'll have an answer.
I got a comment. If you want to get your feet wet, download the software. Any rig that'll pick up sideband, you know, if you even just got a little, you know, global travel or whatever, set it next to the computer, fire up the software, tune in to the signal, and turn on the microphone on your computer. And you can listen to it and practice picking up the signals. So you can receive with nothing. And you know, if you want to really, you know, go you know, duct tape style, you can hold the mic there next to your computer.
So you don't need to spend any money, and you can be fully digital.
Yeah.
Not very convenient, you know, cat cable
If you
and
want to build your own cables to connect, you can use like headphone cables, and then you usually just need a resistor divider to take the output of your computer's built-in sound card, to take it down to the level that you can put directly into your mic input on your rig, and you can take the audio output on your rig and run it straight into your sound card's aux input. And so you can do it with just a couple cables. That's how I started. I started with that, and I just used a 100-to-1 divider on the output of my computer into the mic input. And then I controlled the rig by hand until Amazon delivered me a $5 cable from Hong Kong. And now I've got cat control as well.
Dennis, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say one more, very similar, but iPhone has a PSK app.
Yes.
You can do the same thing. You can hold the iPhone up to the speaker and decode, and it's got macros built in. You can transmit, you know, as well. It's pretty amazing.
Android has the same software.
Yeah, it does.
So yeah, again, the waterfall's nice to have, and you know, all those other little features. But yeah, you can get into it for nothing. Yeah, get into it for nothing. Well, I hope you all go. This got you started, at least a place to start. You know, Dennis is very adept. Obviously, Mark is very adept at digital. Burton, and I'm sure there's a few other folks here that know quite a bit about it and be able to help you get started in digital. So feel free to ask us. Thank you all for coming, and I think that's it for tonight. We're gonna turn it over to Aaron back there for the raffle.